take attendance to see if we have a quorum for the public hearing.
Greg Lazaro,
Present.
Lou Ferrara,
Present.
Dave Delantis,
Present.
Todd Avery,
Present.
Dave Ferrara,
Present.
any other quorum?
Okay, let's all rise, say the pledge of allegiance. A moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to say thank you for all in attendance tonight at our public hearing for 2019 preliminary budget. Anyone is allowed to speak. I'm going to ask you to sign in before you speak and where you live. And then get up to the microphone and state your name and where you live. Each person will be given 3 minutes to speak on this preliminary budget, and this is not a question and answer session. It's for you to give your concerns, ideas, or what you feel on the budget to us. And I'm going to ask people to remain on topic about the budget. If I feel that they go off target, I will ask them to remain on target once. If they go off that again, I'll ask them to stop their comments. So, we don't have any set procedures for people coming up. Just raise your hand if you'd like to talk. You'll be identified and come up, and you can start speaking on the budget. So who would like to speak on the budget?
Doesn't work.
Yes, sir. And sign in, please.
You sure? I just got it. Just had to get started.
Yeah, it worked.
Good evening, my name is Jim Sandless. I live at 2 Greenbelt Circle here in Seneca Falls. I would like to talk about our town expenses, our town tax rate, our compromise and host agreement, and our plan to prepare the town for zero landfill money in 2026. Number 1, expenses. We've spent 20 more this year.
Mr. Sandless,
Yes, sir.
it's about the 2019 budget, okay?
Yep.
So speak specifically to the 2019 budget, not on what we plan to do in 2026. Speak on the budget of this year, please. Thank you. Continue.
Does the board feel that's the case?
All of this ties into going forward, 2019 budget and forward, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We've spent $20,000 more this year for a full-time IT administrator. Let's go back to contracting out. We've spent $30,000 more this year on full-time attorney, who just brings in outside counsel with additional expense. Let's go back to attorney on contract. We've spent $200,000 for B&L engineering from January 18 to August 18 of this year. Let's look for a better way. Hire an engineer. Our town tax rate is projected at $10 per thousand, half the rate of Waterloo and Geneva, and right in the middle of local comparative rates. The plan we should be employing is using landfill money to shore up our infrastructure over the next 7 years, leaving our tax rates where they are now, keeping our other expenses in line, and improving our water department efficiency so that in 7 years the department can stand on its own water rates independently. Lastly, we have already compromised by coinciding Local Law 3 of 16 with the landfill host agreement. Local businesses are already having difficulty bringing new employees in because of the landfill. We have already agreed to accept 15 million tons of garbage more. Nobody wants an additional 27 million tons. 2025 is fair. The town can plan, the landfill can plan, and the citizens can see eventual capping and closing of the landfill.
Mr. Sandless, you're talking about an agreement, you're not talking about the budget. I'm gonna have to ask you to sit down. Thank you. Okay, who else wants to speak? Yes, sir. Could you sign in, please, too?
Thank you. My name's Brad Jones, 11 Courtney Drive here in the community of Seneca Falls. I'm going to shorten this a bit since our supervisor has asked us or demanded that we just speak about the budget itself. However, prior to providing comments on this proposed budget, I would be remiss if I didn't mention to both Supervisor Lazaro and Deputy Supervisor Ferrara that both Bruce Bonifiglia, president and owner of Bonadent, as well as Davis Melenas, president of ITT Goulds Pumps, have given both of you a heads up in their recent correspondence.
You're getting off target. You're not speaking about the budget, sir.
Okay, I'll leave that for my speech then during the personnel.
You may
Thank
do
you.
that.
Okay, well, observations. You ran on transparency, right? Okay. Observations from someone who understands budget. This budget is top-heavy in 3 areas. 1, engineering projects provided by Barton and LeJudas, also known as B&L. 2, spending unnecessary funds for outside legal counsel for the 2nd straight year. 3, too many infrastructure projects scheduled for one particular year. You have to spread them out. Those are the 3 issues top-heavy. Engineering services, legal fees, and too much infrastructure projects all in one year. My recommendation, remove B&L as our town engineer and largest paid outside vendor. This engineering firm looks to our town strictly as a cash cow. Just total their costs from the last 3 years. Numbers do not lie. It's time to have other firms quote ending any pending infrastructure project. Put them out for quote. Number 2, recognizing that this board wanted to address changing the town attorney and the IT department head position from part-time to full-time was truly your prerogative. But you must agree, it failed. It failed immensely. Time to change back these 2 positions to part-time. Just in this past year, our town attorney is responsible for outsourcing over $250,000 of taxpayer funds to represent us. We've never had that kind of money spent for outside legal advice. An easy fix, just remove these 2 positions from the proposed 2019 budget that's before you this evening. Number 3, too many infrastructure projects are part of this proposed budget, being another observation that I've seen. Give this some thought. Wherever there have been funds appropriated for these infrastructure projects in both the general fund as well as the water and sewer fund, take 1/3 and put it in reserves for that rainy day when we may need the money. Take the other 1/3 and give it back to the taxpayer. And the remaining 1/3, use it for infrastructure projects. Everybody wins. not just B&L.
You had 3
One
minutes,
area
sir.
that our town supervisor likes to mention,
You had 3 minutes, sir.
can I just wrap it up?
Wrap it up, I'll give you
Okay.
another 30 seconds.
One shocking observation recently whereby our town supervisor and our town attorney failed us immensely. The news of a $4 million reduction in a tax assessment for a business that went out of business just 10 years ago. None of us here, including some of the board members, were privy to that information. I asked, what else are you hiding from your board peers as well as the
You're
taxpayer?
off target, Mr. Jones, I'm going to ask you to sit down.
The above recommendations
Mr.
can be
Jones will
injected
be
into
asked
the
to leave
proposed
if
budget.
if you
Thank
continue
you.
to
I'll
talk.
finish it later. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Could you sign in, please, ma'am? Yes. And you have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. My name is Suzanne Lee. I live on Peterman Road. I have only lived in Seneca Falls the past 2.5 years, and I've attended the board meetings since we moved to Seneca Falls. My concern with the budget is that the wealthy people in town, the wealthy people who own businesses, don't seem to care if the taxes go up. The older folks that are on pensions and/or Social Security will not be able to afford to stay in Seneca Falls much longer. Also, younger people will not be able to afford to buy homes in Seneca Falls. I drive through the streets and see more homes for sale right now than I've ever seen in my life. There are some areas that need to be cut. However, most of the areas that we have staff for in Seneca Falls are necessary. I would much rather lose no services and enjoy the money that the landfill provides to the town. People will say the cancer rate, pardon me? Someone asked a question to me.
Ms. Lee, address the board, please.
The cancer rates in this town are far lower than other rates. I've looked it up on the line. People will say
Speak to the budget, please.
the budget is involved in big business here. The people that own the big businesses, such as was mentioned before, the Bonadent building, that building and business was built long after the landfill came to town, so why complain about it now? Waterloo Container was placed there long after the landfill was there. If they want to give money to help the town, that would be wonderful. But right now, people cannot afford to live in Seneca Falls. That are older, that are younger, and keep our services that we need. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Yes, sir. Could you sign in, please, and state your name and where you live, please?
Tim Garrity, I live on Pleasant Street in Seneca Falls. Concerning the budget, I read during one of the recent budget workshops, one of the board members suggested discussing whether the town attorney and information technology position should be full-time or part-time, which I agree with. A couple of notes about those positions though. During the July 2017 special meeting, Dave Foster was retained as the attorney for the town. And according to the minutes of the meeting, the minimum annual fee of $48,000 was being payable in semi-monthly installments. That's $48,000. During a special meeting in October of 2017, a motion was passed to confirm hiring David Foster as a town attorney. Dave Shaw asked what his salary would be, and Mr. Foster replied, $58,500, derived from the listing of his predecessor. That's a little bit of an increase in a short amount of time. In December of 2017, the board appointed Marshall Foster to the newly created position of network administrator. The argument for creating the position was that we needed a full-time employee instead of a contractor. The position had an annual salary of $41,450. Of course, with the benefits added in, that adds up to a little bit more. 10 months later, during the October 2018 town board meeting, the network administrator salary was increased to $53,900 per year. So, and along with that, there was a bid put out to have another contractor come in and do the server upgrades for the town. So my comment is, what does a network administrator do to justify a full-time position at this salary?
We're talking about the budget.
I assume that's part of the budget.
We're talking about the budget, so stay on target with the budget, not the duties and responsibilities of the network administrator, sir.
Okay, I'm done.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak? Yes. And could you sign in, please, and state your name and where you live?
My name is Allison Stokes. Although I live in Rochester, my home is on West Baird Street. I am a Seneca Falls taxpayer and voter. I voted by absentee ballot in October because on election day yesterday I was in Toronto. By profession, I am an historian, but because I am deeply concerned about the health and future of the town we treasure, much of my time and energy is spent right here. My concern tonight is the $200,000 line for the legal matters in the 2019 budget. You heard me correctly, $200,000. There are 3 different legal issues going now that the board clearly foresees needing significant funding in the following year. First, there is the Article 78 lawsuit which Seneca Meadows has brought against the town. We have no choice but to defend in court our local law mandating closure of the landfill by 2025. The town board has wisely retained Boylan Code law firm in Rochester to represent us. Second, there is appeal of the Ludovico sculpture trail, which is due to be heard in court in Rochester on Thursday, December 6th. The town board decided on May 1st to take an easement on the trail by eminent domain in order to run a sewer line down the trail for waste from Seneca Meadows, Del Lago, the outlet mall, and the Junior's Rest Stop. The trail is appealing this decision. Citizens should be aware that the law firm retained by the board, Barclay Damon in Buffalo, has already received more than $115,000 of town funds from January through August of this year. Note well, this amount has been spent before any litigation. It's wasteful. Third, a week ago today, on Wednesday, October 31st, the Honorable Daniel Doyle, Monroe County Supreme Court Judge, ordered that the town pay for an attorney to represent the Heritage Preservation Commission, the HPC, that is endeavoring to keep the historic Huntington building from being demolished. Seneca Falls has a full-time town attorney who is earning almost $60,000 a year plus pension and benefits. That's $5,000 a month. Why can't he represent our HPC? Judge Doyle explained, although there may be no actual conflict of interest, just the appearance of a conflict of interest means that the town must cover the cost of its own attorney, of the HPC's own attorney. What most interested me, and I was there, was the judge's deep concern that the fee of the attorney retained must be reasonable. He made it clear the sky is not the limit and spoke of a municipal
You are
rate.
at 3 minutes, Mrs. Stokes. And I've allowed you to go off topic, so
This is not
think-
off topic.
Yes, it is, Mrs. Stokes, so I'm gonna ask you to sit.
I'm gonna read my last sentence, and what is not in here will be in the Finger Lakes Times. If you don't want it in this room, it's gonna be out there for the Finger Lakes. Thank you. What do you want? I'm serious, what do you want? These are gonna be shocking figures for the
I'm
Finger
gonna ask you to
Lakes.
be removed. This is not argumentative, okay? I'm asking you to sit down.
Why does Seneca Falls have a full-time attorney? It's wasteful. It's not needed. I hope the
Mrs.
citizens
Stokes.
agree with me.
Would anyone else like to speak? Yes, sir. Mr. Ford.
I already signed in.
Thank you.
Hopefully, the town board continues to work in a
Could
non...
you state your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, Michael Ferrara, 7 Seneca Lane, Waterloo, New York, I'm sorry, Seneca Falls, New York. Hopefully, the town board continues to work in a non-partisan way to solve the 2019 budgetary issues. We need to separate the politics, we need to separate the special interests, and all 5 of you need to continue to work together in unity to do what's best for the community of Seneca Falls. So my only hope is that you continue all your diligent work that you've been doing so far to get us to that point and separate the political views and separate all the other things to stay focused on what's best for all the people in Seneca Falls, just not the ones who come up here at a podium and speak about bashing to the Finger Lakes Times. 2 topics that we've heard tonight to get rid of in the 2019 budget was an engineer and a town attorney. Does everyone and the board hopefully have done their due diligence, and what is the cost of having a part-time attorney, and what is the cost of having to bring in outside attorney for day-to-day operations of the town board and matters that come up in front of the town? Also, the same applies to an engineer, okay? Put it out to bid, and whoever is the most competitive bid would certainly have to be awarded the bid. Obviously, you can't proceed with infrastructure plans, 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, without obviously some professional services. So I would ask you to do a cost analysis, and hopefully you've done that and continue to do that, and again, to work in unity in a non-partisan way. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Yes, ma'am. Would you sign in, please?
There used to be a television show where you had to sign in, but maybe you're not old enough. Thank you. I will be very brief. Jean Gilroy, Gravel Road, Seneca Falls. I've attended every budget meeting, and we were not allowed to ask a question. I'm here tonight, and we're not allowed to ask a question. And I don't know how you expect this town of Seneca Falls to stand behind you when we can't even ask you a question. That's it.
Would anyone else like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Right, well, first, Valerie Sandless, 2 Rebound Circle, Seneca Falls. So first of all, I sincerely would like to thank you for your hard work in creating what I perceive to be a pretty fair 2019 budget. I mean, I know you have cut some things and you've tried to keep services that are important and valuable to all of us. So including our police department, our highway, our rec center, all of which are like the face of Seneca Falls in many ways. So I thank you for that. We definitely need those services, and I and my family are greatly appreciative of all of that. That being said, I do have a few suggestions that seem to be a common theme of what I think would be easy, immediate cuts. And they would be to eliminate the full-time town attorney position and the full-time IT position. We did not previously have these positions before. They're brand new this past year. And we contracted out for attorney and IT, which meant we didn't need to pay for benefit packages, and we also didn't need to implement money into the pension system. So I think we need to go back to what we had done before. It's, in my opinion, an easy way to eliminate unnecessary expenditures. As you've already heard, having a full-time attorney has not been cost-effective. On the contrary, it has been an unnecessary expense. So, and in addition to the town attorney's salary and benefits, we've already spent over $200,000 on outside attorneys. So let's just stick to the outside attorneys. Eliminate this superfluous position. The same is true of our full-time IT position. Why should we pay a higher salary with benefits and pension access when we had never had before? So to me, that's easy. In addition to curbing the engineering spending. So from January to August of 2018, Barton and LaJudas has already spent $200,000. I don't have the numbers for September, October, November, December, but at that rate, they're gonna work themselves to $300,000, which is what we paid them last year. That's, again, that seems superfluous. That's too much money. I'd also like to point out that with our current host agreement between 2019 and 2025, and I know you guys have incorporated our current host agreement landfill money into the budget, we should probably have somewhere between $21 and $25 million by the time 2025 rolls around. And I think we should continue to use this, put it toward infrastructure or whatever we may need in the town, other than necessarily always, as we have been habitually dedicating it to taxes. It's given us an artificially low tax rate. Nobody wants to pay more taxes. I don't want to pay higher taxes. You don't want to pay higher taxes. There's not a person in here who wants to pay higher taxes.
3 minutes.
Okay? But when we're in the middle of the pack, Waterloo is double what we are, as are Geneva. So nobody wants higher taxes, but the landfill host agreement money has given us a false sense of tax
You are at
entitlement.
3 minutes.
Okay, so I think, you know, our current tax rate seems reasonable to me. It's certainly, if we were gonna move elsewhere in the county, it would be
Okay,
very
Mrs. Sanders.
difficult to find lower taxes, is what I'm saying. So anyway, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Does anyone else like to speak? Yes, sir. Could you sign in, please?
I don't think this topic has been covered, so. The 2019 budget necessarily impacts the budgets of our citizens. At this time, allow me to focus on the most significant number affecting the taxpayers of Seneca Falls and the property taxes they pay. This number is the median household income of Seneca Falls. Seneca Falls has a median household income of $44,006. Now, the median household income for all the state of New York is $60,741. Seneca Falls is 28% lower than all of New York. The national average is $55,322. Seneca Falls is 20% lower than that. Seneca Falls is at the bottom of the heap when it comes to median household income. Now, the figures I have from the 2019 budget are from the press, because there's no summary sheet here or anything else to know. So it's what I read in the newspaper. While the drop of 0.5% in property taxes is a step in the right direction in the proposed 2019 budget, it does not give much relief to those struggling to sustain their properties. Town government needs to lower property taxes more extensively than 0.5% to give relief to its citizens who are earning very modest wages. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak? Wait, can you sign in, please?
Good evening. May it please the board, thank you for the opportunity to address you regarding the town's proposed 2019 budget.
Could you state your name, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mark Benjamin. I live in Lodi. I am here as an employee of the single largest taxpayer in Seneca Falls. I have also been asked by several Seneca Falls resident taxpayers to appeal to you all to lower their taxes, as their testimony to me has been, and I quote one particular taxpayer that stopped me in Walmart, "Mark, what are you going to do? I cannot afford my taxes to go up." First, I'd like to thank the members of the town board who continue to work hard for tax relief. Second, I respectfully disagree with the board members who over the last several weeks have taken the following four-step action plan over the course of the budget workshops that has and will lead to further tax increases. Number one, you voted against lowering taxes and resetting the general fund rate back to 2017 rates of $6.09 per 1,000 of assessed property value. Number two, you voted for giving yourselves pay raises. Number three, you voted against $100 million in tax relief. Let me say that again. Number three, you voted against $100 million in tax relief. Number four, you voted to litigate against one of the largest job makers and the single largest taxpayer in your own town. We cannot afford your four-step action plan to increase taxes and drive out jobs and businesses. Please go back and resolve to come up with a budget plan that provides tax relief in the amount of $100 million. Finally, for the record, for that taxpayer who pleaded with me at Walmart in front of this board today, we have done everything we can to work with the town to find common ground and provide tax relief for all Seneca Falls taxpayers. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? Seeing that no one else would like to speak, I move to close the public hearing on the 2019 budget. I need a second on that. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Public hearing is closed. We will move right into a regular meeting. Since roll call has already been taken, I would presume that could stand for this meeting. We have said the pledge, although there's nothing wrong in saying the pledge twice. A number of people were discouraged by my saying the pledge twice before, so at our last meeting, so I won't do that again, but I believe it would be appropriate. Number C, letter C, open bids. for the sanitation service for residential properties within former village area.
I can bring him in.
Okay.
Just let me get it.
There are two bids here. Our first bid is from D&L Disposal, 1886 Whitback Road, Newark, New York. Town of Seneca Falls sanitation bid, to the Town of Seneca Falls Board. Please accept our bid of $10,550 per month for curbside collection service for the former Seneca Falls village area. Disposal fees and totals provided by Seneca Falls. Thank you for your consideration.
Can I ask a question on that? Right,
Yes.
can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is that's just a labor cost, that's just picking it up? Is there another fee for the landfill,
No,
No.
so that's disposal and tipping fees?
right.
The next one is from J.E. Gibson Incorporated, DBA Cardinal Disposal. It's by Joseph Gibson, President. He's in Dundee, New York. And his collection pickup year one. Can I see that cost? Estimated pickups, 2528, $4.66 per month per customer, 466 unit bid, 466 month per customer. And the total bid for the first year would be $141,365.76.
It's here. He's got it.
Okay. So
You have to annualize it.
12 times, this monthly, 12 times $10,550.
126,600.
26,600.
Okay. And his bid for the second year would be the same as the first year. The bid for year 3 would be the same. The bid for year 4 would be $148,949.76. And the bid for the 5th year would be $156,533.76. So if we have to go with the low bid, then we'll discuss it under new business. Okay. We have 2 petitioners tonight. The first is Mr. Brad Jones, and he's going to speak about town financials. Mr. Jones, let me remind you of the 3-minute time to speak.
This is a continuation of my budget discussion, but it does pertain to town financials. I, along with many fellow town residents, attended all 4 budget workshops, and more than our town supervisor and budget director, who only attended 3. If you remember correctly, he left quite disgruntled during the first workshop. May I remind Mr. Lazaro, elections have consequences, a phrase he has used numerous times in the past. A quick observation. Our town supervisor failed once again on preparing a cost-conscious 2019 budget, the 3rd straight year, if anybody is counting. I have to touch on what Stan Pratzowitz shared. We have to read about budget numbers in a paper. It's not presented to us as taxpayers in the open. That is scary. One other comment that I was trying to add, Mark Benjamin, he had mentioned highest paid taxpayer. I think the message, you have to give this some thought. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention it to both Greg and Lou, because in the past 2 years, it's all about saving jobs at the landfill. And I think there's like 50 to 75 or 100 jobs. I don't know. But recently, Bruce Bonifiglia, owner, president of Bonadine, and the new president, David Molinas of ITT Gould's Pumps, Fall Street, those 2 individuals have given you a heads up saying, me too. 800 employees. What are you going to say, Mr. Lazaro, if those 2 companies decide to pick up and leave? In golfing terms, I think those 2 business leaders gave you a mulligan. And if you know what a mulligan is, you don't get another one. So start looking at all businesses equally, not just the landfill. Mr. Farrar, a good friend of mine, we agree to disagree on a few things, but this isn't political. This is called transparency. And right now, there is no transparency with this elected official. 3 minutes, you're out. We have a $13 million budget that nobody knows anything about. One area that our town supervisor likes to mention, although we haven't had 1 win in the 3 years you've been at that seat, is economic development. Not 1 line item in those 4 budget workshops discussed economic development. When don't you think it's time to put in an economic director's position in the budget? Mr. Lazaro, you may wish to read Bruce Bonafiglia's and Dave Molinas' articles once again. And I'll quote, "You can't wish for economic development. You can't wish for grants," quote. One shocking observation, I think I have to share this once again. I wish you would have allowed me to do it under a public hearing where any other community, our county, speak as long as you want. That's what a public hearing's for. But for some reason, you just want to shut down everybody. So I'll end here. The news of a $4 million reduction in a tax assessment from a business, Sylvania, that closed years ago. No one in this room had privy to that other than Mr. Lazaro and Mr. Foster. What else are they hiding from us? Thank you.
Sometimes, when I'm talking to board members, sometimes things are said at these meetings and they come out as truths from the press. And, it gets upsetting sometimes when I don't want to argue with the petitioner, but I believe we have a local development corps that we pay for a director of that local development corps. I think that people view this town who come in as very business unfriendly. And they view it as business unfriendly because in the years past, we've lost a number of possible businesses that could come in. But because of the hoops we have them go through the three committees that we have sometimes, and two of them are good, the zoning committee and the planning committee. However, sometimes we need to have people to make sure that we are shovel ready for business development. With the infrastructure that has been done in the past, we are far from shovel ready. And with all the infrastructure repair that we have in the future, I do not know, except for borrowing money, where we're going to get the money for those infrastructure repairs.
3 minutes. 3 minutes. Your time's up.
Sorry, this is supervisor thing.
These issues are important issues.
One person can talk and everybody else has to be quiet.
When someone says that no one had the ability to see the figures are in the office. Anyone can come in during the day and get those figures and speak intelligently to them. They decide to grandstand at these meetings. And anyone can go get that information. That is Bev here tonight? Okay, Bev makes up these sheets for us before each budget meeting. And they are readily available to the public without boiling them. And the public knows. But people come up here and say, I have no idea where to get it. To Mr. Jones, I have to say, you know where they are. You've been in public office. So start coming in and getting these figures before the meeting. And I'm more than happy to speak to you about them. And any board member would be more than happy to speak to you about it. Yeah. Next speaker, please.
Robert L. McGill Jr. I live in Waterloo, but I'm doing business on 5 and 20, and I'm intending to expand. Okay? So I do have an interest. Somebody ought to tell the president of Goulds Pumps that grassy knoll on the west side of his building is an EPA toxic waste site. And somebody ought to also tell him that every community in central New York has a problem recruiting and retaining quality employees. Syracuse has had that problem. Rochester's had that problem. Buffalo's got that problem. Upstate New York has that problem. If Goulds Pumps were not itself what they call in the corporate world a toxic workplace, because it is a cultural toxicity, and Bernadette is the same, they would be able to recruit employees and retain them. You want to start comparing Seneca Falls to other communities? You guys are a bunch of losers. You got, somebody who wants to tear down an old building and build a new gas station, you fight him. You had a drugstore that wanted to move in, you fought them.
Mr. Miguel, could you address the board, please?
Then they should be quiet when I'm speaking. Anyway, you cannot compare Seneca Falls with other communities and just show the glorious side of their accomplishments and then throw stones at the lack of accomplishments here. This town has done very well. They've done everything to cooperate with the 318 corridor, Petro, the Quality Inn, the Hampton Inn, the casino. You are providing sewer service for them. Without that sewer service and the upgrades that are needed immediately, that development would not be taking place. It all is a very, very slow process, and you people have your own agenda, and you can't wait to destroy this town so you can run it yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the newspaper over there.
Thank you.
You want to talk about a joke? The last page of this newspaper, what a joke. You got into politics because you think an informed public
Mr. Miguel,
is essential.
Mr. Miguel, thank you.
Thanks, sir. I'm just doing what they're doing. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 3, approval of minutes. Before we go to approval of minutes, I'm gonna have to schedule a special meeting because we have an IMA agreement that I just got from the county that we've been working on for 8 years. I think 6 of those years was with the contract attorney, and 1 year with our present attorney. He didn't have knowledge of it, neither did I, because no one ever told me about it. And then we get wind of this IMA agreement that should have been signed about 7 years ago. So we have to discuss this IMA agreement, and I'd like to set up a special time, giving everyone the time necessary to read this IMA agreement. And so we need to set up a special meeting within a week to read this agreement. I'm asking you to look at your calendars.
The vote was about 100-some pages long. We gotta use it.
It's, today is November 7th. How about next Wednesday? At 3:30.
Okay for me.
Is there a court that day? There is. There is, okay. Is that during the day? It's in the morning, okay. We'll be able to do that. November 14th. Is everyone able to make this meeting?
Yes.
Okay, you will receive copies of the memo I just received from Jill Henry, from the planning department with the county, and read that information. If you need to talk to the engineers or anyone up from the county, that may call anyone up there, they'd be more than happy to speak with you. I would suggest call the head of the Public Works, Sam, what's his last name? Cream. Sam Cream. In fact, you might want to sit one-on-one with him, so get on the horn and set up a meeting with him.
So the 17th at 3:30?
The 14th. And you'll get that by no later than tomorrow night.
John, will somebody be there, either Peter or yourself?
Okay, thank you. Okay. also have to set up a special meeting for approval of this budget. Do you want to set that up for the same time?
That comes under new business.
Okay,
So you wanna
we'll-
wait and do
we'll
that
wait,
under new
so
business, you can
consider
do
that. Okay. Approval of minutes under A, public hearing and meeting, October 2nd, 2018.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
No, one second. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The budget workshop on October 10th, 2018. I make a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, I make a motion to approve the door control officer report.
Second.
Seconded. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve the Town of Seneca Falls zoning officer report.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation
Second.
report. Seconded. Discussion. I see we have a fill-in for the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation. Do you have anything to comment on? Do
I'm sorry?
you have anything to comment on?
Not at this time.
I'm really putting you on the spot.
Okay, good.
Thank
No, I don't.
thank you for sitting in, Mr. Speaker. See, no discussion? We'll go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve the Town of Seneca Falls Highway Department report.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, Frank. We had a meeting Monday, Stu was there with the Women's March. They're very concerned about, this is gonna be in January, correct?
It is,
Okay. Well, anyway,
that's right.
and they were very concerned that last year, the sidewalks were not shoveled, and people were walking out in the streets, cutting between cars, walking down the streets. Very concerned this year, and they wanted to know what could be done to correct this problem. I took it to committee, and we and myself talked about it, and thought that we should relatively see how the board feels about that.
Well, we could all pray for no snow.
Yeah.
So, that's the first thing. But realistically, what can we do? If it snows the night before, you know, it is, I want everyone to understand that it's a matter of free speech. It's a great thing to happen to Seneca Falls, but we have to put limits on ourselves as to what can be done in terms of a snowstorm the night before. And then if people still continue to come into town, we'll probably, and this can go to the police chief, and we probably have to close down some streets. Are we planning on closing down some streets that day?
Yes.
Okay. So, I think those streets will allow to be walked on then during the time of March.
What they've got is, they've got buses up there at the plaza, Tops Plaza. A lot of people walked on sidewalks, and they were walking in the streets on 5 and 20.
Okay.
And it was a big concern even with the chief.
Yes.
So they brought up the meeting, and I'm just bringing it up for,
We addressed that last year, Jim,
yes, we did.
and we took steps this year that we were gonna work on. I looked, it's already on the website. I believe Nikki posted it, or it's left over, that residents are required to shovel their sidewalks. And if they're not, we're gonna enforce that. And we have a plan to do it, to make sure that our safe routes to school, that our town sidewalks are able to walk in.
We probably need to hire some contractors. The highway department would be out there shoveling people's walks. That money that it costs us would be re-levied onto taxes. I think we need to put all those contingencies in place if there are sidewalks that aren't shoveled from that point on in Seneca Falls down to downtown. And I think we've done that before, is re-levied some of those things onto taxes. So I think people have to be aware of that. And probably we should send a public notice out well before the time.
I just wanted to get it, they just wanted me to get it out.
Yes.
So this is an issue throughout the winter, throughout the entire, I would say the old village. That every time we have an event, whether it be downtown or throughout our local old village, there are consistently areas that do not shovel their sidewalks, causing pedestrian traffic to walk into the roadway. That should be addressed throughout the entire year, not only just for specific events, but throughout the entire year. So, that is something that I think we need to get together and come up with a plan on how we're going to address that moving forward.
Are we still tagging cars that are parking on sidewalks? We're still doing that? No. Okay. Because I see that.
We have a plan in place for when we do have snowstorms. We've hired some new laborers to clear off the downtown sidewalks. And so I think that's a good thing for business, and it keeps business moving in town, which is what we need. And as for the enforcement of the clearing of sidewalks, I think we need to enforce that and move ahead to clear those sidewalks as soon as possible and enforce those rules. And hopefully when they come to court, that they do receive fines for not. And if they don't pay those, it'll be re-levied on their taxes.
Well, what's in the laws now is after the snow stops, they have until 9 o'clock the following morning to clear it.
Okay.
So if it snows the night of the war for furniture, we have until 9 o'clock the following morning to clear the sidewalk. If not, I was sending ambulance persons through down to you from the machine shop all the way down to Bilbrand.
Okay.
And every business down in that corridor did not have their sidewalk shoveled. They got charged equally of what Thurston charged us at our rate.
I think we probably should have a joint police committee meeting and a highway committee meeting. And I'd probably, on those days, if there were no major issues, I'd probably call in some other people to help and assist if they were capable of running those machines. And Joe, I'd probably ask you, those people would be appropriately compensated for the work that they would done. Did you have an issue with that? Or you men have an issue with that? Because I think you two departments have worked well in the past, so we're going to, we utilize the men and women we have on staff. But I think this needs to be closely coordinated with the police chief. And we all need to work together on this.
Jim, can I ask you that new track? We get that, that'd be a good asset of going up through that sidewalk all the way up through, eating up through there.
Absolutely.
Another idea goes back to your head, the one on here, maybe we have a new contractor or would you call to clear the sidewalks? I know nothing's official, but something they have to put together.
So I'd like you to be part of those discussions also. So you could, let's try to have those discussions sometime between now and, it's already November now, and our December meeting, come back and report on at least the plan.
We've got a meeting, I believe, With the women's march.
Okay,
We'll
great.
discuss it then.
On the 19th.
Well, hopefully we have a plan in place to report to them on the 19th.
Mr. Ferrara, I might be out of town on that day. Would you be able to sit in on that meeting if possible? Thank you. Okay. Is there any more discussion? All in favor of the Highway Department report signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion passes. The Assessors Report, I move to approve the Assessors Report for November 7th, 2018.
Second.
Discussion? Yes.
I just wanted to clarify some of the discussion that was had today. There was a couple errors made in the newspaper regarding the change in the assessments. The total assessment went down from 2017 to 2018 by about $2 million. In that one little section on the Sylvania property, that initially was under that IDA control. So even though it was assessed at 4.9 million, it was not taxed on 4.9 million. It was actually ran under roll section 8, and they paid a pilot payment through an old pilot agreement that was back from the late 80s. So what happened this year was the owner of the property came forward and they wanted to actually be put on the tax roll. So I know Mr. Shaw, we had initially discussed it briefly in my office. So now their assessment's just over $900,000 starting for the 2018 roll, and they're actually paying taxes on the full 900 plus thousand. Where before they weren't paying that much. I don't have the exact figure because it was actually done through the IDA at the county level. And Bob Aronson could have those figures for you, but it was an old pilot that had continued well beyond its time that we did away with this last year through the Board of Assessment Review.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
That's a great example of transparency. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I stand corrected.
And that's why we have good department heads. And thank you for doing that. But when you give information to the press, you expect it to be written correctly, and there was a mistake there. So. Yes, it is unbelievable, Mr. Jones.
I'll just add that what's missing, the elephant in the room on that subject is the environmental issue which was on the property, which has already been resolved before the town would have had any liability on it. So, when you look at issues, you should look at all of the issues.
Share the issues with us.
And you should put them into a proper perspective. And at all times, that issue is at the county level with the IDA who had an illegal pilot. So, I know it's difficult for you to deal with facts and truth, but the bottom line is...
You're so disrespectful.
Oh,
Please, they're disrespectful.
I know it's difficult for you.
But you have to respond to it when
First of all,
you see the
you're
massive...
not elected.
When you see the massive...
Jesus.
Massive lack of information.
Stop swearing.
Can I also add something?
Yes.
The board members were told about that Sylvania ahead of time and knew what was going on, that it was an IDA pilot.
Taxpayers were down.
We were told in the meeting though, about that it was coming up, so we did know about it.
Dave, when we submit department reports, are those available for the taxpayers to review?
Yes.
Yeah, I did have a little blip at one point in my report, but I didn't make a large point of it at the time because it was, like we explained, it was all fully on roll section 8 at the 4.9 million.
Stephanie brought it up. It was discussed with Bob Aronson at the IDA level. That was done. That was appropriate.
think I will rearrange my hours and I'll announce which street corner I'm gonna stand on about 4 o'clock every afternoon. Tell the taxpayers, Mr. Jones, and you, about everything I discussed that day. So you will be knowledgeable of those facts. You can get these anytime during open business hours. If you need some information from these reports and you feel you have to foil them, you can foil them. And those foil requests are honored. If you feel they're not being honored, take the 3 minutes and tell us.
I was
And
trying to bring
all
FOIL
of-
information
all of
tonight,
this-
you wouldn't let me.
All of this is.
You're dancing well,
no.
keep it going.
Yeah, okay. All I'm saying is,
I got information you didn't allow.
the information is there. And I was making a point in jest. I'm not gonna stand on street corners and tell people what I've discussed that day. But I don't know what information you want, and the information, I put out a lot of information. If you need more, give me a call, ask me for it, and you'll get it. But I haven't gotten many calls from you, Mr. Jones. Okay?
After what you shared with me back in your office 6 months ago, you don't have to ever worry about me or other business leaders.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And thank you for attending the meetings. And so, taxpayers can get any information they want to. They can get these meetings, they can get the reports from the department heads. And I believe that all of you know that. But you come to every meeting and you talk about transparency.
Blackout.
No, transparency is here. It's just you choose not to believe it. And those are the concerns I have, because you stand up here and don't tell the truth. We're going on to the
Assessor's report.
yeah. Okay, move to accept the assessor's report. I got a second on that. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve the report from the town court.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. That report's available to you, Mr. Jones, also. I make a motion to approve the Seneca Falls Waste Sewer Department report.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. That report's available to all taxpayers. Seneca Falls Police Report for October 2018. I make a motion to approve that report.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve the Barton Little Judas report for October, dated November 7th, 2018.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve the Town of Seneca Falls Information Technology Department report. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
I have one thing on, this is the second page. Yeah. Item number 2, set up a tax-free account with Amazon for future purchases. Is that in contradiction with our credit card policy? Because it would seem to me it sort of circumvents this credit card policy.
We gotta get a PO.
I'm not sure.
We gotta get a
If you're
PO
dealing
number.
online, though, if you are an accepted vendor who does not have to pay tax, then they will set it up so that when you make the purchase, they don't bill you the tax first and then reimburse it. They simply
Right,
don't charge.
that's fine from Amazon then, but from us, there's no accounting until after the fact. And that's not the spirit of the credit
No
card
accounting involved. No accounting involved.
of purchase. I mean, unless, correct me, are you talking to someone about the purchase prior to making it? Or are you going ahead and making it and then dealing with it
If
after?
there's something to be purchased, it will be made known.
I think what you're asking is, in other words, if it's above a certain amount, it needs either bidding or it needs approval, yes, but for.
Okay, or maybe the credit card policy needs to be, amended to include online purchases for which a credit card is not needed. But I don't think the spirit of that is that individual people, employees should be making credit card purchases.
I agree. I think what will be helpful to alleviate that, to obviate the whole need for it, is to have each department, when they need ink, when they need paper, when they need items that they have to have, they should be basically purchasing their own. Where it comes to IT issues, sometimes, can you fix this? Can you install these cartridges? Do you want to purchase from one source, or do you want every department doing it? That's the issue. That's why it's in there.
To me, that's a separate issue.
Well, but it's what leads to that issue. That's how it comes about. But whatever.
Department heads make purchases without asking us if they're under a certain threshold. And if Amazon has a tax-free account, correct? And this is how I'm understanding.
I guess that's what he said.
Okay, yeah, if he's setting that up, then he'll still need the credit card to make the purchase. Just because it's a tax-free account doesn't mean he won't need the credit card, because he'll give a credit card.
It's just the account.
Okay. I mean, is that what you were asking?
Yeah.
So you asking for a credit card when you? No, the policy is you gotta go into Nikki and get a credit card. So you're going into Nikki, getting a credit card, and then giving it to Amazon.
It was just
and just that it's tax-free. As long as I know you're going through Nikki to get a credit card each time. Because I mean, that's what the policy is for all our departments, that you go to Nikki, get a credit card. It's like I was there the other day, Aaron came in to get a credit card to go buy some repair stuff. Okay.
And I believe that's being done already.
That's the policy that we put out. So. And Nikki has control of the cards and hands them out.
Yes.
Exactly.
The credit card number is part of the account, so.
Exactly, and that's what that meant. That's what they. I think it's semantics, because that's what he's talking about. Set the account up.
So he doesn't have to go through it.
We'll clarify that in the next few days. So.
So he has unlimited charge.
Yes. Okay. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Make a motion to approve the communications.
Seconded.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Are there any other committee reports? Okay, we'll skip right to C because we have nothing on A and B. Installation of fire hydrant. On Lake Spur Road. Joe, you want to discuss that a bit?
You guys should have all
information from Peter Baker
Yes.
on the spot. So I believe the real commission for Department of Justice to write plans and submit it to the department.
I had the motion.
There's no easements needed, it's all town property.
We still have to spot it. I'd have to spot it before we did go, you will come back. Well, for any lines.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gas line, electric line.
We'll take care of all that. We're gonna do a good job of something. 200 feet of main.
Did anyone have that motion? Is that for? Yeah.
There's some information that is the second page has.
You know what? It's in,
Oh, you know, what, right to the second page.
yeah, I think it is.
That's the map anyway. Yeah, that's not the resolution, that's not a resolution.
It's not a resolution.
You want to explain that, Joe? A little bit about that fire?
We're gonna come off of Lake Road, go across the street onto town property where the playground is, not through the playground itself or any big trees. A couple of fittings to turn, go behind the property, I don't know if you can have this there, still on town property, and right before we hit the road, spur. Put a hydrant right there. Then the fire department can put their hose around the hydrant and drive on with their truck depending on where the fire is.
So we're going down over the bank.
Just over the bank on the edge
fire,
of
I
the
mean,
road.
on the spur, be just off the spur road. Okay.
It's a good spot where plows shouldn't, it's on the inside curve, so plows shouldn't slide into it or anything like that. But that's a concern, we originally wanted to go in, so down.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the installation of fire hydrant on Lake Spur Road. Do you have an estimated cost of that, Joe?
We don't have an estimated cost. I think really what we need is an approval for Barton and Judas to submit the plans. I guess I have to submit them, but they have to write the plans for the department. So really that's what we need
Do a
approval
study.
for.
Okay.
It's not budgeted for, but we're gonna talk about that once we get the approval for preparation of plans by we need permission for the Barton and Judas to write the plans and submit to the department.
I make a motion to approve the preparation of plans by B&L, Barton and Judas.
Second.
Discussion.
I think it's a very well needed thing because there's a fire down there. We won't have any except for water for them.
The problem was brought to our attention because of fire that was on there within the last year down there. And they said it could be a problem with water pressure. And they said it was needed for a long time, so I think we should go ahead with the plans.
John, if you need specific information for your resolution for authorization.
Well, I think it's a pretty simple task.
I believe so, but if you need something more specific than that,
And we'll come up with a plan and a cost estimate.
that's what
That we go to DOH and then the board will then authorize the based on.
happy to do a formal resolution, but I don't, at this stage, the real resolution would be to adopt the plan after it comes.
The plan and the cost.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. D, policy use for space and condominium.
That's still on hold until we find out whether we need to reserve the large room for our own storage.
Okay.
That's the conversation that we had, so I think I can say the property.
That property's not for sale. Okay.
We should have a meeting on that basically as to what they're gonna want.
Are we putting the old police, the 60 state, are we putting that back on, realtor's list? We're gonna relist that?
We have to advertise that's on sale. But if anyone comes before us and tells us or says that they are interested, then we have to have a waiting period, because then we have to put it out for sale and wait for other people to bid on it. We'll say that bid taken on this, is anyone else interested? And then we have to sit down and talk to the people who have bid on it and discuss it amongst ourselves and we make it known whether we wanted to sell it or not at that point.
So could we advertise it as up for sale?
Yeah, we could put it up for sale, yes.
We're presently being cleaned, and Aaron, and along with the assistance of the chief and his staff, are monitoring it, making sure that it's, the heat, apparently the heat was not on at one point, so but that's resolved. Aaron was taking care of it. So,
That's right, see,
yeah.
yeah, you put a new thermostat in down there. That's why I said, I seen Aaron come in and get a credit card to get a new thermostat.
What's the status of 10 Fall? I know we're digressing a little bit.
On 10 Fall, basically, is just, apparently, that individual is prepared to go forward in purchase, and I'm trying to accommodate them a little bit in terms of just the normal closing time that it would take for a building now that they're going forward, okay? So that hopefully that is going to be an actual closing.
So we can go ahead and put that on the market again.
The first one, yes, the second one, no.
Do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we actively try and sell that again. List it,
You probably want to list this excess property.
excess property.
I'll second
Town of
that.
Seneca Falls as excess property that we would like to put up for sale.
Thank you.
Okay. E, salary adjustment for deputy highway superintendent. Again, within salary negotiations, where the highway has asked us to unionize. I think we're gonna finish up those. We have a meeting tomorrow. Hopefully we can finish those up. We can discuss that issue at that meeting, and we'll go from there. F, renewing SMI annual permit. I make a motion to renew the annual permit for SMI.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'm opposed and will remain opposed as long as they have a lawsuit in our face, and if they hold off on the money. If they retract the lawsuit, resume the payments, then we'll talk. But if they're bringing garbage, they should be bringing money. We don't need the lawsuit.
You understand that they don't have to have a host agreement.
Yes.
And this can be perceived as a violation of the host agreement.
Which means they put the payments in an escrow account and you don't get them until it's resolved. Page 77, or page,
Yes, sir, we understand that. I'm gonna ask you, we understand that. So, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Opposed? No.
Any no's?
That permit is denied for SMI, but we established the question. Approve it or disapprove it. Now, since we took that action, where do we move forward? And that's a legal question that we have to ask. because we're denying them that permit, a permit after the DEC approved the permit for them to run their operations. I don't know where we stand with that. I have no idea. So, does anyone else? The people who voted no,
Page 17 says it.
the people who voted no, do they know where to go?
Well, the town permit is not contingent upon the DEC permit. They're two entirely independent things. So, and as far as I'm concerned, it's up to Seneca Meadows. If they bring garbage, they pay money. If they do that, fine. And if they withdraw their lawsuit, they're suing us, not us them. So as far as I'm concerned, it's their move.
Repeal local law 3, Doug, and then we won't have to sue you. That's why we're suing you. You brought local law 3. The town board brought local law 3. Okay? To be clear, that's why we're suing you.
We've been,
To be clear.
we've been turning it down, but we haven't stopped you from bringing garbage.
Maybe that's our next step.
You want to take that action, take that action. That's up to you.
We haven't taken any action, have we?
That's up to you, David. You know what the agreement reads.
Okay, Mr. Black. But we have denied it for this year. One of the people, I voted yes. If someone wants to bring it up to reconsider it, they can, under their no votes, because the no vote is the majority. I can't bring it up, Mr. Ferrara can't bring it up for reconsideration, but a no vote can. A majority can. So I would suggest that if you want to bring it up and change your vote before the end of the meeting, or we're throwing the dice, and I think it's going to be a long road to hold after this dice, because I believe the town is being belligerent to the business of town. So.
Vote was taken. Vote was taken.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna table it. Yeah, table.
Okay, under G,
So make a motion, we table G.
I'll second that motion.
I want to, we met the other day, and I'd like to look at those three programs that they come out with the RFPs, and deciding on one RFP, but I'd like to get a hold of them and see, get a list of some of the other towns that they've done in their work. If they're happy with it.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. H is a Wonderful Life request for signage. Anyone want to make a motion?
We don't have information yet.
Okay.
Jim and Lou and I still need to meet. We know that.
Okay. So, table. Under new business, approval of special events.
We had some event applications.
Approval of It's a Wonderful Life weekend events. Be it resolved that the town board approves the event application submitted by the It's a Wonderful Life Committee and It's a Wonderful Run Committee for their events scheduled for December 7th, 8th, and 9th. It is understood that the applications have been reviewed and are in order. Both applications shall be approved pending proper insurance submitted. I make the motion.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to table the adoption of the town preliminary budget and approve or disapprove this at our next, at the special meeting. Make a motion to table it for now. We'll review what, think about what was said tonight, and we'll move on. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye.
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 All opposed?
No.
Nay.
Is this tabled, and we'll discuss it at our special meeting, which is a week from today. I have a motion on the table, whereas the town board has considered the adjustments made to the salary matrix this year, and whereas the adjustments to the matrix took far longer than anticipated, and a disparity was created between the adjustments received by the positions adjusted early in this year and those adjusted in October. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby pass an omnibus matrix adjustment for all employees affected by the matrix change till the date of the first matrix adjustment in April of 2018. Budget lines affected will be increased using cash balances on hand, and the adjustments will be paid in a special payroll during the month of November. I'm not making this motion, I'll have someone else make it, please.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. I will be voting no on this.
The motion pretty much explains it. It took us so long to get the process finished that some people got their adjustments 6 months ahead of other people. And in an effort to simply be fair, whether we agree or not with the salary adjustments themselves, the fact that everybody, it should have happened at the same time, should be obvious. And so that's what this is to correct.
See no more discussion, we'll go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Nay.
So just one no?
Yes. Bids for sanitation service. Where are those bids? Okay, it was suggested to me that we table those sanitation bids for now, sanitation service bids for now, and to make sure we have all the proper paperwork. That includes insurance also. So we'll be looking at that this week, and that'll be one of the issues for our special meeting next Wednesday also.
Those agendas on the
I made the motion. Did I get a second on that?
I'll second.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize a budget modification to increase A2680 insurance revenue and A5182.403 lighting miscellaneous to reflect the increase in expenditure, $2,585.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to reappoint Bureau Assessment Review member Joseph Pion.
Second that.
Discussion. Stephanie?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Normally, we would have taken care of this in September. It's a 5-year term. And I didn't feel the need to spend additional money to run ads and stuff to try to get more people, because in the past, we had a difficult time filling other positions on the Board of Assessment Review. And I spoke to Joe, and he would like to stay on the VAR. And again, it's a free position. There is no pay involved in the position.
Okay, I have a motion. I have a second. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to thank you for the use of service he has been putting in. We do 5 more years. He's doing a good job.
Okay, seeing no more discussion, we're going to take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. And just a comment after that, when these appointments come up, I always think it's fair and equitable to put ads in the newspaper and to discuss it amongst board members. I've discussed that philosophy before, that the community as a whole needs to be made aware of these vacancies, and we as a board need to discuss them. Joe Pioni is a member of that board, and a good standing member of that board, but it's just my philosophical approach to it. And so I would hope that I would get advance notice when these vacancies take place, because I would ask them to be posted. So, and again, just try and remember that, and we'll move forward. Motion on the table. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the appointment of Edward Thurston to the position of wastewater treatment plant operator trainee position at a pay rate of $21.72. A motion on the floor.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Yes, a question for Joe. Why does this person come in as a wastewater treatment trainee instead of a laborer if he's going to be just using a sludge press or something, or he's going to be...
He's going to be a trainee at both plants, actually, starting at the wastewater treatment plant. And the sludge press is a part of being a trainee or an operator. So that's an operator's job. Operating the press.
Right.
But he's not going to be just operating the press. He's going to start out as that, and he's going to be learning just like any other trainee. But that's going to be his main view to start.
So that's not hauling, that's hauling the stuff away from there as well?
No, it's not, yeah. Our operators do that, our laborers don't do that.
So that is like kind of rotating one person, just not assigned to do that all the time?
No, it's going to be rotated between 3 people, but mainly that's going to be that person's assignment for the first at least 6 months of that. But that person, he's going to get in the lab, he's going to be on checking pump stations eventually, and things like that. That kind of position is just starting.
Civil service?
Civil service list, top 3.
So that's part of the training, okay.
It's all part of it. And yes, civil service, right from the list. List is available.
Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Whereas the town board authorized the appointment of Edward Thurston to water sewer treatment plant operator trainee, now therefore be resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize canceling of the water sewer department's digging contracts with Thurston Services.
Second.
Second, discussion.
We will rebid digging contract next year and reach out to local contractors to bid again.
To avoid any
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
We need to state first bid,
Pardon?
name of the person that's being appointed in the first bid. We did.
Has you read this paragraph?
We did read it.
It's okay.
It's, yeah. It's resolution, contribution to It's a Wonderful Life Museum. Whereas the Seneca Falls It's a Wonderful Life Museum and Archive plays an important role in the success of the annual It's a Wonderful Life Festival, and whereas the status of Seneca Falls It's a Wonderful Life Museum as a 501c3 nonprofit organization has been confirmed, and whereas the museum has relied on a donation in the past to facilitate the bringing of movie personalities to Seneca Falls for the festival, and now therefore be resolved that the Seneca Falls It's a Wonderful Life Museum be given the sum of $5,000 toward their expenses for the 2018 festival. There's a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Is this, I know we've talked about it before, but does this come under the lines of what the auditors told us?
Well, they know,
Private
they know that
donations.
that we haven't included them in the 2019 budget because of what the auditors have said. But my point with bringing this forward is that with just a short amount of time, they're relying on this money for this year. They know that the money is not going to be there next year.
Okay.
And there won't be, unless we find out otherwise from the auditors, we got to shut this thing down.
Yeah, I agree then, yeah, absolutely.
And we, one of our questions among ourselves was about whether they were 501c3, and I did check that.
It's not a municipal gifting situation.
So it's not.
I don't believe it is, so under the circumstances, that covers it. So I encourage that to occur.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Resolution, I don't see I have a resolution here for indemnification of officers/employees.
This is another one that comes from me, and you can read from the first page that Bev helped, but it was at my request. And it's basically in light of the fact that we have these lawsuits out there, SMI, the sculpture trail, and the HBC situation, that we need protection as individual board members so that if we're acting in good faith, we're protected. And there is nothing out there, I'm told, unless we move to create that protection. So I'll read this motion if it's law.
I would.
But to summarize, it basically, and I'm sorry to blindside you guys, but I just every time I came looking, you guys weren't here. But that's That's just when I came looking. But it basically, to summarize, if we're acting in good faith in the discharge of our duties as town board members, we're protected.
Okay, you want to summarize that motion, what you just set out, use that as a motion. Motion basically says to indemnify officers and employees of actions taken as part of their official duties. So there's a motion on the table. I need a second.
Second it.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. There are no water and sewer credits? Okay. Accept bids, engineering services, phase 2 sidewalk project. We have that with us.
Probably at the table that one, right?
Okay.
Yourself and Lou and I have to start
Okay,
together.
and we'll discuss that. Let's put that on a special meeting agenda. Is that okay with you?
It's fine. I just think it's humorous. We start with one thing and we end up with 5 or 6.
Okay, I move to, motion to table, phase 2 sidewalk project. Okay.
You gonna have it on the 14th then?
Yes.
The motion to table, I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. There's no water and sewer credits. There's no need for an executive session. I move to pay the bills.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Move to the special order of the day. We adjourn.
Second that one too.
All in favor?